Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever video on this channel. Welcome to FPL Mike. My name is Mike, obviously, and the FPL have just launched yesterday with the 2024-25 season, and has a record breaking of 730k of users. So yeah, it's going to be a heavy hitter this season. So let's get started. And this is going to be my first draft before game week 1, and a lot could change. Just share with you guys some of my ideas, and you can see it. Um, yeah, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We've got loads more content coming through, and if you want to keep update on it, hit that subscribe button. So first up, we have got our goalkeeper, and I have gone with the Brentford goalkeeper, Mark Flecken. I've always been a fan of Mark Flecken from last season as well. I've seen him, saw his performance in Freiburg, and I owned him last season as well. We can see his underlying stats are pretty good. I think he's got 104 points, which is the top five goalkeeper. 119 points, which are the top five scores. And yeah, definitely for me, Brentford got a solid defense, and I think Flecken at 4.5 million is a very good for me. Of course, you don't want to spend much money on your goalkeeper since you only have 100 million. So Mark Flecken is my first choice goalkeeper, and you could go Roberto Sanchez or the other Chelsea goalkeeper, which they're all 4.5 million. But we'll discuss that later, and we'll see who start for Chelsea, and we might have a shift to Roberto Sanchez. But so far, I'm going to stick with Mark Flecken. And then moving on to our defenders, I'm rocking with a three defender in this draft, in this formation. And the three of them are Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Tony Robinson, and Lewis Dunk. First of Trent. Trent, he hasn't been at this price of 7 million for quite a long time. And I think with his attacking threat and the ability that he's able to provide to the entire Liverpool team, I think he's the first choice right back for Arne under Arne's slot. And the fixtures are good. It is generally good. Like Ipswich, Brentford at home, United away, Forest at home, and Bournemouth at home. United, it's going to be a tougher game, but for the last few seasons, it's not been a problem with Liverpool playing against United. And last season for Trent is a bit of a downfall because, you know, the reasons of Klopp leaving and all other stuff. But defensive stat lines for Liverpool are pretty good. And you can see, just look at those numbers. They're brilliant, innit? 122 is probably the lowest since his first two seasons. So it couldn't get worse. At 7 million, he's a bargain for me. Because last season he's 8.5 million, isn't it? So it's 7 million. I think Trent is a nail down for me, and I'm a Liverpool fan. So yeah, Trent Alexander-Arnold is the first defender in this team, and opening fixtures are good. So I don't see a reason dropping him. The second one is interesting because I didn't see a lot of people chosen, which is Antonee Robinson from Fulham. Under Marco Silva, Fulham got a really good underlying number for their defense. I think they joined top four on expected goal concede last season, and Antonee Robinson is their left back. That is their first choice left back. They haven't bought anyone else, and this American dude can rock and roll with thumps in, right? And his attacking threat is also very, very massive. You can see these stats. Last season he got 6 assists, which is very, very good at 4.5 million. I think compared to a lot of other 4.5 million defenders, he is the one that with more attacking threat, like what Konza from Villa and Leif Davies, even if you want to mention it. I think Antonee Robinson, the same price as Leif Davies, I'm going with Antonee Robinson. And his low ownership with only 5.2%. So Antonee Robinson for me, again, it's pretty much nailed on in game week 1, and they also have a pretty decent fixture. Like United away, Leicester, Ipswich. That's 2 of the 3 newly promoted teams. And like West Ham and Newcastle. Newcastle will be tougher, but then that's what we'll discuss later on. Because this season we can have save up to 5 transfers, right? So we'll have much more like space to make your transfer. You don't need to take hits, etc. It depends on the type of manager you are, but I think Antonio Robinson, the 4.5 million, is he's got the attacking threat. He's a wing back. He's better than those centre backs. So this is the reason why I chose him. And Tony Robinson is the second defender here. And the third defender is gonna be Lewis Dunk from Brighton. I've called Brentford Brighton so many times, but Lewis Dunk, under the new manager, who's done a great job at St. Pauli, the youngest manager to ever manage the top five league club, I believe. I think Lewis Dunk got the potential to go back to his prime season like these two. And I think Lewis do have the most attacking threat among all the centre backs. 4.5 million centre backs. Because if you see, right, let's go here, and you see 4.5 million defenders. You got Joachim Anderson, Castagnier, which is another Fulham fullback you could go for, Mikulenko, the Everton defender, Dan Burn, Konza, etc. I think Lewis Dunk is the man. And I think his attacking threat, he's nailed on position, and Brighton defense will get massively improved than last season compared to Roberto De Zerbi. Because you can see last season, right, at St. Pauli, the manager that only conceded 36 goals in Bundesliga 2, which is the least among the 18 teams. That shows the new manager is a very good defensive coach, which I believe is going to massive benefit Lewis Dunk. And his attacking threat is the most out of all the Brighton defenders and most of the 4.5 million defenders. So Lewis Dunk is the third defender. So that completes the defend in this draft. And we're moving on to the midfield. So midfield, I've gone with a 3-5-2 formation. So Salah nailed on for me. Good fixtures. Don't need to talk about. 7th season with 200 plus FPL point. Despite the fact that he might leaving, if he's not leaving Liverpool, he's gonna be in my team throughout this, most likely for a long time, because he's one of the great. He's one of the captaincy option for me as well. In game week 1, I'm definitely captain Mo Salah against Ipswich. There's no reason to slip past through him, and I think overall he's the best. He's one of the best choice in FPL, really. So that's Mo Salah is the first midfielder. Second, I have gone with Bukayo Saka as well. 10 mil, Arsenal player, youngster, growing recently, 202 and 226 points in the last 2 seasons. Underlying stats are good. Expected goal involvement are matching the actual goal he scored. And I think he's the most attacking threat in that Arsenal team. He's on penalty. He's more creative on the wing. Yeah, overall, I think it's worth the pays that extra 1.5 million compared to Odegaard. Moving on to our third midfield, which is Kevin De Bruyne. I know loads of people slip past on him. 9.5 million, which is probably the lowest for like 2-3 years. Mostly injured last season, but still performed very, very well. The Pep Roulette might be a thing for Kevin De Bruyne since they have so many quality players, but I think if he's fit, he's the nailed-on cam position, number 10 position for Man City. And I think a lot of people are going to question, why don't you choose Phil Foden? Why don't you choose Cole Palmer? Why don't you choose Heung-min Son? I just like his assist ability overall. I think it's just phenomenal. I think his assist is more guaranteed than Phil Foden's goal threat and Son Heung-min's goal threat. So that's one of the major reasons I lean towards Kevin De Bruyne on this one. Good opening fixtures. Could be a captaincy option here. We saw him score 4 goals against Wolverhampton. He could be a massive, massive favourite. With 9.5 million, I think is absolutely deserved if you go for Kevin De Bruyne. I can understand why you try to go Phil Foden, because last season he performed really, really good. But I think last season he's a bit overperforming. It's just because Man City are too strong. You catch all the chances. 19 goal, 8 assists, 27 goal involvement, but XGI is only 17. So I think it's a little a little bit overperforming. That's why I didn't go for him. As for Palmer, I just think he's performed really, really well last season. I can't see it goes up more than that because you've got Nkunku back. You've Nicholas Jackson is improving. You've got loads of option there, and same reason. 35 goal involvement, only 25 xGI. I think that's going to reduce. 244 points. It is really really high. Although he's on penalty, but is he going to get that much this season? I'm not sure. So for 10.5, I don't think he's a must for me. That could be controversial, but we're gonna have to see the Chelsea's preseason how it goes along, and we might adjust some changes over there. But among all the players, I choose Kevin De Bruyne because I think he's a little bit of a odd one out. He could be a bargain. He could also be not. We've got to wait and see. We still got a month until the game week one starts, so a lot could change. But now I'm sticking with De Bruyne. And the fourth option I've gone is Anthony Gordon. We all know how good is he last season. But for this one, I'm actually not really sure about. Because, look, 16 assists on 5 expected assists. That's a bit too overperforming. A bit like Foden and Palmer. So I'm not really sure about Anthony Gordon. It's just because the fixtures looks fantastic in the first 5-game week. And I can't slip past through it. And he's the only promising Newcastle defender I'll get. So that's why I chose him. I mean, there's other options there, definitely. In midfield, if you look under 7.5 million, Jarrod Bowen is one. I quite like Jarrod Bowen, but I don't know if you can replicate the performance once again from last season. I think Anthony Gordon could be a bit like Jarrod Bowen from 22 to 23. That could what be Anthony Gordon be. And I think Jarrod Bowen is a solid option. So yeah, Anthony Gordon, not sure. I might change him up a little bit before the season start. So we've got to wait and see. We got Pascal Gross, Brighton again. These two I'm just slipping past through. Defensive midfielder, Odo, some goal threat, but not enough for me. Bruno Guimaraes could be one since the new bonus system have changed. And yeah, Leon Bailey is another option. You've got Eze from Palace with Elise out. Eze is definitely the one to look out. I think he's going to perform great. And the last midfield to complete is Christopher Nkunku. I know he's very injury prone. He didn't play at all last season, basically. But I think with what he has done with RB Leipzig in Bundesliga, if he can carry that into Premier League and stay fit, he's an absolute bargain in 6.5 million. I think that price is very cheap, so it's worth the risk going for Christopher Nkunku. I want to have a see again. We have to see the Chelsea pre-season one again to see if he starts, where he plays, how he's performed, etc. But Nkunku is definitely gonna be in this first draft. If not going for Nkunku, I might just downgrade him to a much cheaper midfielder and rock with a 3-4-3 instead. So yeah, look at that fixtures. Despite Man City from game week 2 to 7 are all very, very good. If he can bring his Bundesliga performance, he's going to be an absolute bargain for me. And the two forward I've gone with is Alex Isak and Darwin Núñez. Isak, undeniably going to start for Newcastle. Absolutely nailed on. Good number, 21 goals, 20 expected goals, 27 start. He's going to start probably 30 plus games this season. Minutes will get taken by Wilson, but I think it doesn't enough make me to slip past Isak. He's just too good for me. So he's a must. He's most likely not going to be changed in this draft. Yeah, Isak, 100%. You can see 54% ownership, only next to Ollie Watkins. So Isak for me is a definite in this team. And lastly, Darwin Núñez. Yeah, I've used Darwin Núñez as my third Liverpool spot. The minutes could be a problem. You never know the new manager, how would they do. He might start Gakpo because he's got amazing Euros. I think for Darwin Núñez, it's just his shot ability, his catching chances is not good. But this season, shots on target increased bonuses, so I think that benefits Darwin a lot. and I think he will improve his shot ability, catching chances eventually. So that's why I've gone for Darwin Nunez as my second forward. It could change. It could change. I look forward to loads of good 7.5 million, 8 million forwards. I don't like Kai Havertz. I don't like Richarlison. But you've got Solanke could be a good one. Mateta is overpriced for me. He's 7.5 more than Eze. He's massively overpriced for me. Alvarez, you never know about the pep roulette, so I would avoid him. Nicholas Jackson is the one that interests me quite a lot because I think same with Darwin Nunez. It's just his catching chance ability. He's got the service, he just can't put it in the back of the net. But I think it will solve. It will get solved. I will have to wait and see the preseason as well. Nicholas Jackson is on the radar. Cunha 6.5, not ideal. Weezer avoid. Christian Wood avoid. Richarlison, not a big fan of it. Rasmus Højlund could be an interesting one. I think second season is always a blowout season for the newly guy that comes to Premier League. I gotta wait and see how it goes under Eric Ten Hag, because I think Man United will perform better this season, and we'll have to wait and see all the preseason. And moving on to the bench, we've got Lucas Fabianski, 4 million goalkeeper. You can go Matt Turner if you want, but there's such high ownership. If the price shop, it's gonna be hard to get him out. Get him out with the price shop, so I'd avoid him. Just find a low owned goalkeeper. You could go Matt Turner if you want. It doesn't really matter. And Joachim Anderson, solid Crystal Palace defender, 4.5 million. You need that one defender that can rotate upon you if you play three at the back. So Joachim Anderson is a good option for me. Plus he got the good attacking threat. Munoz at 5 million is a bit expensive for me. Although I do have 0.5 in the bank, but I would not go for Munoz. I'll go for Joachim Anderson instead because I think Munoz doesn't deserve an extra 0.5 million for me. Wout Faes, Leicester defender, 4 million. Just that kind of players you'll have. You'll have a 4 million defender. It could be Hayward Bayless. It could be Betnarak. I don't go for Hayward Bayless just because, man, he's like 14% owned, 15% owned. If price drop, it's gonna be a hard time for me. And Betnarak, I can't forget that -7. I can't forget that -7, so that's why I'm not going for Betnarak. And the last forward is Fraser, 4.5 million, whatever. I do have 0.5 in the bank, so I could upgrade. We could make some changes. We could get Gordon down to an Eze, and then we make Fraser to João Pedro, which I would like. But that's going to be discussed in the next few weeks. And yes, that's concluded the first draft for the new FPL season. And thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, and we'll update basically every week, and any news, any preseason warm-up game, I'll see if there's any information then noticeable. I'll update it to you guys. And thanks everyone for watching. Peace out. Subscribe. Thank you.